Like any third-year undergrad passionate about his studies, I question what it is I'm doing with my life and why I do this to myself. Reading books until my eyes jumble the words together is becoming fun. Or maybe this is a mid-degree crisis. While I'm partially joking, the question still stands. What is it about my study that I'm willing to dedicate years of my life to getting a degree in, or perhaps multiple? To find this out, I must first define history itself, if I can at all, and find out what it is about the individual that pulls their fervent curiosity towards the field. Okay. Did you hear that? Does it say
I did, yeah.
Okay. So good morning, Dr.
Good
Peral.
morning. I am Dr. Monica Peral. I am the Associate Vice Provost of the Institute of Texan Cultures here at UTSA. Prior to coming to UTSA, I was a professor of history at the University of Houston, where I taught for almost 20 years in the history department. I taught Texas history, Mexican American history, and public history. And I was also directing a center that focused on public history at U of H. One of the most exciting things that's happening here at the ITC is that we are currently preparing our transition to a new location. For the past several years, there's been a visioning process where folks from the community and folks at UTSA have had discussions about how to make the ITC into the Museum of the Future. And one of the next steps is for us to move to a temporary location, and we will be in a temporary exhibit space at the Frost Tower downtown in early next year, early 25, and eventually moving to a new permanent home.
I think I told you over email that the project focuses on the question, what is history?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask you, how would you define history?
Yeah, when I think about history, I think about a definition that one of my history professors gave me years ago, and that it always stuck with me. And he said that history is the stories that people tell to give themselves an identity. And when we think about history in that way, we understand how everybody has a connection to history, right? That it's not just a collection of dates and facts, but it's about how we interpret those dates and facts. It's about how we see patterns and change across time. And that history is something that we do kind of actively.
So that's a transition that I see students take, not only when they take one class with me, that certainly happens from day one to the end of a semester, but especially when I get to have students for more than one semester, when they get to see that their thoughts and analysis about history are relevant and important, that it's okay to have an opinion about the past as long as you can support it with your sources, especially primary sources. I think those are the transitions that take place, right? Students take history, freshman history, 1043 and 1053, and they learn all of the facts so they can take that multiple choice exam. But when they come and they take historical research methods and they learn that, I'm going to look at sources and think about them and write about them, that's a big shift in the way that our brain works. Right? So I'm Jennifer Dilly. I am a distinguished teaching professor in the Department of History. I've been here for 18 years. I'm also the faculty advisor. What do we call me? Faculty advisor for History Club. What else? What else do you want to know about me? I teach classes in world history. I teach historical research methods, and my topic of choice for that class is the women's suffrage movement. I'm also the co-director for the Knowledge for Freedom program, which is a new program starting this year. We're going to be diving into topics of democracy, and we're calling it Migration, Democracy, and the American Experiment. And as part of that, I have a group of undergrads who studied the same content last spring and now are going to be mentoring these high school students. A really exciting program. It's just getting off the ground, and we're excited to see where that goes. So teaching is definitely a reciprocal relationship, right? I am bringing content that I've chosen to the classroom, but in return, students are processing that content and teaching me more about it. So I think when you ask me what is it like, it's like I get to be in school for all of these years that I've been here at UTSA teaching, I continue to be a student, and I loved being a student, and so getting to learn with my students every year and every semester it's amazing, because I guess it's like being a student. I consider myself more of a guide in the classroom. Hopefully I'm guiding students to their own thoughts and their own ideas about historical content. History is not this stagnant thing. It's it's evolving all of the time, and our understanding of it, our appreciation of it changes from one moment to the next. For that reason, I think that history is a really exciting field, because we get to look at the past and apply it to what we are experiencing now, and there's just always more to do and learn. So I think that's what I especially like about being a historian.
Well, you already answered my other question.
Oh!
What is history?
What is history? History is story. History is the human experience. History is where we came from, and it also really tells us about where we're going. History is really human, and I think that's what I love about it. I love the human story.
It's something that tells us who we are today, because it gives us a sense of where we've been and where we want to go in the future. So to me, that definition really resonated on so many levels, because it's not just the work that historians do in the classroom or that scholars do when they write books and articles, right? History is something that everyday people have an interaction with. And to me, that's incredibly powerful to know that, where you are at this moment in time is a product of decisions that were made in the past, or and it tells you about who you are today.
Got it? The next nose back here. Feel the difference? Tones right here. Look. There it is.
Hi, my name is Jetta Silva. I'm a UTSA alumni, and I work here at SACAM as both the exhibits-based docent and the Church History Harvest project manager. I know a lot of people think it's just something that happened in the past that doesn't really affect us, but the more I study it, the more you understand how important it is to what's happening in present day. It's like history is living to me. It's a part of every single day of our life. Working at SACAM is the greatest. I love SACAM. The environment is like a big family. I know everybody says that, but it really is that at SACAM. And I love working directly with the community, because we're a community archive and museum. So it's about the people in San Antonio, the people that are still living. They come and they see pictures on the walls and they say, that was my lawyer, that was my teacher. And I get to help preserve that and make them feel special, because this is the kind of history that gets ignored and overlooked and rewritten. And I like to be able to preserve that, and it's gratifying to see the community engage with them. Yeah. All right.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jetta.
Right? How institutions like museums are engaged with kind of capturing the stories and the histories that connect people to place, that connect them to, in the case of the Institute of Texan Cultures, that connect us all, to this area that we now know as Texas, right? And people who have lived here across generations. And how do we kind of actively work with communities to ensure that those stories get told, and that people can see themselves represented in these kinds of cultural institutions. So I think that there's, lots of different levels that historians can be involved in kind of connecting people to the past and connecting them to history, and also being a place that amplifies those stories, right? So historians can really have a role in doing that.
It's easy to see how such a dynamic study of human society and humans themselves can attract the most curious of individuals. Yet, with a quick Google search, it'll give the definition that history is just the study of human affairs. This lackluster definition and oversimplified idea of history is not enough for its nuance. So with this, we'll move forward, and soon we can continue with deeper questions regarding history and its properties.